I'm here with Ian Garry, who's going to fight Michael Venom Page at UFC 303. Ian, first of all, I know that you wanted Colby Covington. That was your call out after you beat Jeff Neal. I thought that sounded like a pretty interesting fight. Tell me a little bit about what you thought when you heard, okay, it's not going to be Colby, but we're going to give you Michael Venom Page instead.
Colby's running. He wanted nothing to do with this fight. He had every opportunity to accept the fight. There was back and forth with the UFC non-stop to make this fight happen, and he ran. He wants nothing to do with it.
So you think the UFC wanted the fight too, and it was purely Colby?
I know the UFC wanted to fight. I had back-and-back conversations with him about tell him to like pull the finger out, tell him to get ready, like he has to fight. But the truth is, Colby's afraid. He doesn't want to fight me. I'm that young, talented prospect that when I beat him, it's the end of his career. He wants none of that. He wants to stay relevant on Instagram and hold his spot in the rankings by just talking. That's it.
Well, Michael Venom Page, though, is an interesting guy to get as a backup option. He's pretty good. You know, he's got some hot stock himself. What did you think when you heard his name?
Yeah, I thought, fuck, I wanted to fight someone up in the rankings. I wanted to fight someone who's going to get me closer towards that world title shot. And I had no interest in fighting MVP. And still to this day, I don't. But the truth is, I'm grateful that he accepted the fight, because for me, what's more important than who I fight is that I fight. And nobody else said yes except him. And I want to be consistent. I want to continue this momentum. I'm 7 fights deep into the UFC. I'm 7 wins, and I don't plan on stopping or slowing down anytime soon.
Well, he seems like a guy who brings a lot of attention to a fight. He's got a fun fighting style and everything. You don't feel like maybe this fight seems to me like it would do something for you. Jeff Neal's a good fighter, but he doesn't quite have the name or some of the flash that MVP does, at least in the eyes of some fans.
I agree. No, I think you're absolutely correct that MVP has built up a brand with Bellator fighting nobodies. And now he's come over to the UFC to try continue that name on the biggest stage. But I'm going to prove that he doesn't deserve to be here and that I am levels and levels above him.
He's got such an unusual style. How do you prepare to fight a guy like that?
Like every fight I've ever fought on, like every fight I've ever fought, I focus on myself. I focus on being the best me I can possibly be, because there is no guarantee that MVP will show up next weekend. There is no guarantee that MVP will be there June 29th. But if I focus on myself and my beautiful striking and the growth that I need to have to become the best fighter I can be, then I can go out there and beat anyone on any given day. So that's how I focus. I focus purely on me. The opponent is never relevant in my mind.
Well, speaking of guys, not showing up when we thought they would, big shift to this one with Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler being off. Obviously you're on the undercard and the main card though, but that was going to bring a lot of attention. Were you disappointed to hear that?
Upset. I mean, I'm a fan of Conor, so to be able to sit there and watch him and be there present at one of his events. I've never seen Conor fight live. I've never been to an event. I've never seen him fight live. So for me, that would have been a dream come true to witness, like, the match in person, the fight week, the excitement, the eyes, the attention that he brings. I mean, he was breaking records already, selling the most pay-per-views of all time. I was excited to see that, as was everybody else, and as was he to fight. So obviously it's upsetting, it's heartbreaking for him and everyone involved, but we'll see him back, and I'm excited for when he's back. That's all that I think about now.
You got a lot of attention and a big share of the spotlight, and it felt like a lot of that had to do with sort of personal life stuff. And it seemed like maybe some of that attention was unwelcome at times and a little bit uncomfortable. Were there moments during any of this stuff where you felt like maybe I wish people knew a little less about me?
No, I wish people knew the truth rather than lies. The truth is, people don't know the truth. People were fed lies and facts that were not true, and people had not done their research. And these people spread and talked, but not one person ever done their research or connected to me and talked to me or my team about these rumors. So I just wish people knew more of the truth. And who gives a fuck about other people's personal lives?
Well, it does seem like half the battle in the fight game is getting people to know who you are and remember your name and care about you when you fight. But it also seems like a double-edged sword at times, like when people they might develop an
Uh-huh.
opinion that's not entirely positive. Man, how's your experience been with that?
If you do not sit at my table, if you do not sweat with me on the mats, if you are not someone who can contact me directly about something that has happened in my life or your life and look out and have that contact, then I have no need or no care for those opinions.
When you had to pull out of a fight recently, and it seemed like that was one of those moments where the spotlight was kind of on you, and it also seemed like there was just a lot swirling around that particular fight. I mean, that had to be, I imagine, a tough decision. That one. Take me back a little bit of what you recall from that.
Well, there was no decision. The doctor from the UFC came, he seen me, and he said, "You are unable to fight. You have pneumonia, a flu that has developed into pneumonia, and I wouldn't let you fight in January," he said. That's it. It was not my choice. It was the doctor, Dr. D from the UFC.
Did you think, okay, this is just a bad cold, or when he said pneumonia, where you're like, well, that sounds right?
I knew I wasn't myself, and I know that I can fight through a lot, but I physically couldn't get out of bed. I was in bed for 2 days sweating. I lost 4 kilos just in bed, changed like 8 sets of clothes. And when Dr. D came and seen me, I pretty much knew that there was no way I was going to be able to fight.
Well, my last question for you, and I'll let you go. You mentioned that you feel like MVP has fought nobodies. I saw him in some other interviews saying, like, "Hey, I'm a little surprised that Ian hasn't trash talked me too much leading up to this fight." How much of that is a sincere feeling, like, okay, he hasn't really fought anybody, he hasn't proven anything yet, and how much of it is he feel like, we got to sell this thing a little bit?
No, the truth is he has fought the majority of his career against nobodies. And he has come out with some beautiful knockouts and some beautiful performances against these people who are nowhere near the caliber that he has. MVP is phenomenal at what MVP does, and he can freeze people. These people never deserve to be in the octagon. They never deserve to be in the ring with him in the first place. And anytime MVP has fought someone of the upper echelon of talent, I can name a few names. Logan Storley, phenomenal wrestler. Douglas Lima, amazing champion at Bellator. He fought him twice. Ross Houston, former Cage Warriors champion. Paul Daly, most knockouts in UFC history. He went to decision with every single one of them, and he got knocked out by Lima one time. So the truth is, against the higher level opponents, and Kevin Holland, for example, it's always a decision. He doesn't have that ability to frustrate and dominate these people and finish them the way he did against the other guys. So it's not shit talking. It's just the truth.
Well, all right, we'll leave it there. Thanks again for the time, Ian. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Take care. Have a great day.